Okay, so welcome to Brew the Truth. That's our working title. You're here with Dull Oxide and Joe. We're talk about some things that we think could use some talking about.
It's such a working title that it's probably not going to be the title.
Yeah, it'll probably not be the title, but it could be maybe.
It shouldn't be. Let's be honest.
All right,
That's what we're
maybe
supposed to do,
maybe it
right?
shouldn't be.
That's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is the truth. So first things first, we want to talk about
Whoa,
some
whoa,
things
whoa!
that.
First things first.
Oh yeah,
Drink a beer.
cheers.
Ding.
All right, and so we want to talk about some stuff that this coming year we want to fanboy over. So let's start with Joe here.
Oh,
Joe,
that's me. Yep.
you really pretty excited about the new Guardians of the Galaxy film, huh?
What? I didn't even say what it was yet. How did you know?
Because we discussed this before the
No,
show.
we didn't. You're breaking the fourth wall, which is the
The
first
fourth,
rule.
the fourth be with you.
Yeah. Anyway,
That'll be for later.
that's no. I'll never say that again. So the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise really liked because, and I didn't expect this when I went into it, but the first movie had such amazing musical tie-ins with the video, and I saw it I think 3 times in theaters, but the first movie touched me in the first like 5 minutes of the movie, where I was like watching the main character, his dad was like, "It's gonna be okay, son," and he's like crying, and I'm like, I barely know this character, and I'm already like kind of tearing up because his imaginary mom, that's crazy, or his grandpa, it was his grandpa, his imaginary or his weird mom just dying. I'm like, just I don't know why, and then he comes on with the that song, the "Come and Get Your Love." Wow.
Okay.
And he's like dancing around. It's just like that was the best intro to like any movie, not just sci-fi movie, just any movie I had seen.
I mean,
Probably.
I'll admit, obviously the soundtrack's a giant thing in the
Yeah.
movie because they're going off, Volume 2 now, which to try and play off of, the what was the name of the Ultimate Mix, something like
Oh
that he
fuck.
played.
I should know this. Awesome
We
Mix
got one of
Volume
my
One.
my co-hosts here
Aw-
behind me.
Awesome Mix Volume One.
Awesome Mix Volume 1.
Yeah.
That's right. And it did like there was some really good music on that mix.
Oh yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the first Star Trek film where they have the intro and it's playing the classic music on the radio.
Hold on.
You know,
Which first Star Trek? Because there's a lot of Star Treks.
the first of the reboot.
The first of the reboot. Okay.
Yeah, where he steals his stepdad's car and he's driving
Oh
through
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
field.
Similar vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there very good usage of the audio in that,
Right.
and I gotta say I didn't really like Guardians of the Galaxy only because at the very
Because
end
you're a heathen.
he does the dance off thing, and I'm like, why even add that?
What are you
It
talking about at the
just
beginning? The intro thing I'm talking about?
no
Oh.
at the very end of the movie, which is by the way a spoiler if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, you're just
Yeah.
forget
No,
it.
go to hell.
Yeah. So that at the end of the movie, how he defeats the guy, he says we're having a dance off, and he distracts him long enough for Rocket or whatever to knock the thing out, and then they all take the
Wow,
Infinity
I
Gem
don't
and
even.
blah blah blah.
It's been so long since I don't even remember that.
You saw it 3 times. I saw it once.
Well, yeah, but it's like 3 years ago. But just when you were talking about that, the weird ending, how it like it was kind of like anticlimactic kind of. It
Yeah,
reminds me
yeah,
kind of a spoiler alert for Doctor Strange. It reminds me of the ending of Doctor Strange. Have you seen it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
And and you're like, wait, is this seriously how he's gonna defeat the big baddie? Is it with it's with this with circular
Hey,
logic?
you know
Like,
what? When you got the power to do it, you might as well do it. And I guess that's what happened also in Guardians of the Galaxy. He had the power to dance, and he danced.
and
So
same universe. So there's
yeah,
there's a theme
yeah,
there.
and it's gonna be. I do have to say I liked the baby Groot inside of
Oh
the new preview.
wait, listen. So he used circular logic in Doctor Strange with an Infinity Stone. So did he use infinity logic? Huh?
I mean, it was the Stone of Time, so I
Huh?
guess yeah,
Infinity
okay,
logic? Yeah.
sure, yeah, I can get on board with that.
All right. Anyway, so Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Hmm.
Um, the leading rumor, and this might be a spoiler for I don't know how you spoil a movie that's not out yet, but if you don't want to know, don't listen. But apparently, Star-Lord's dad is rumored to be none other than Kurt Russell, which would just be such fantastic casting. Like I remember.
I mean, I haven't heard the rumor, but
No.
I think that I think generally in Marvel films they do pretty good casting.
True.
I mean, they got almost the majority of the people are spot on for what they're supposed to be. I mean, they kind of, with Samuel L. Jackson.
No, Samuel L. Jackson. That's a point of contention.
That character was made for him.
No,
okay,
no,
like
because
literally.
Nick Fury was not originally black. He was originally a
In
white,
Ultimate Universe, he's black.
an old white redhead.
In Ultimate Universe, he is black.
I,
And I believe the character model was based off of Sam
okay,
Jackson.
But, okay, so if they're doing amazing, aren't they using the Incredible Spider-Man in this universe? So it's like they're picking and choosing which ones they want to use.
In this universe, it's also, with the newest reboot, I don't know.
Exactly, because we have three.
Because the last reboot of Spider-Man was Ultimate Universe, and yeah, I'm not sure where exactly they're going with it, but I mean, we'll see. I'm not too worried about it. I think it'll be pretty interesting. I think they're just going to go with the standard Civil War storyline, which would actually be Ultimate, I'm pretty sure, but I mean, I could be wrong. All of those comics blend together so much that it's kind of ridiculous. But overall, I think that in the new movie, we're probably not going to see very many cameos from other Marvel. We're going to see mostly just the Guardians, tons of Baby Groot, because everyone knows he's loved.
I don't know about that, because a lot of these Marvel movies seem to be, merging more and more as they get closer and closer to the part 2 of the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that we would see more crossover.
I think if we do, it's going to be at the end. At the very end, they're going to end up on Earth, and you're going to see maybe some of the Avengers, possibly Spider-Man, because Infinity Gauntlet without Spider-Man is, not a thing really. So that's a good possibility.
Yeah, I don't like how young they made this Spider-Man. He's like.
Well, he's always supposed to have been a kid. It's just they kind of made it so that they found him earlier, and it'll be cool if they actually do go with the Civil War storyline on him.
Well, it's not. They didn't
because
just
that's
make
a
him
really
younger. They
good
also
story.
they changed the point in time at which he becomes Spider-Man. Because if they found him when he was younger, then his uncle would not have been dead.
Well, no. I mean, for instance, they kind of started it in the time frame that they were supposed to start it. In the previous reboot that they did, that was also the right age range, I guess you would say, because he was in high school. And I think that
it's his senior year.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that makes a hell of a lot more sense.
I mean, if you don't read Spider-Man and you don't have any familiarity with any of the Civil War storyline, then just for the next 30, 40 seconds, don't listen. But the whole point is that while he's being trained to be an Avenger, he's supposed to die. Okay, so that's what's
alert.
Yeah, he's supposed to die, and that's where the new guy, that's the half Puerto Rican Spider-Man comes in next. He's actually there. He watches Peter die, getting killed by Green Goblin, who in this universe, Green Goblin actually transforms into a giant Green Goblin.
Hold on, it's not bad enough that they're going to change the race and sexual orientation of every superhero ever, but now they're not just that, they're going to kill the normal superhero incarnation and then replace him.
It's a different
the universe.
Different universe.
But
different
come
universe.
On. Like, do we have to hate Whitey this much? This is silly. Just start him out as a Puerto Rican.
I think it's a little bit ridiculous.
Start
I do.
Him out as a Puerto Rican.
I think
just
that the female Thor is a little bit ridiculous also. But we digress.
Wouldn't it make more sense to have a Puerto Rican go and make money in a boxing ring anyways? Like, that makes way more sense than some random white dude that's about to go to college making money like that, right?
Well, I mean, it's what he thought.
I mean, he's basically going to be
and it wasn't a boxing ring. It's wrestling, but which are very, very different. And so, I mean, it might be anything goes wrestling, in which case you could punch people, I guess, and kick and all that. So, but again, we're digressing. So,
Yeah, let's move on.
was there anything inside of the preview that you thought was outstanding that you're looking forward to a lot?
I think that the preview covers like the first 15 minutes of the movie, and we haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the whole Baby Groot bomb scene
Yeah.
is probably in the first like 5 minutes when they're dealing with something.
Yeah, that could
And
just be the actual intro scene, and then the credits roll after most of what
yeah,
we've seen.
because I believe we're going to see a lot more tie-ins with the Infinity Stones. So it's more than likely just the first couple of minutes, and I think that there's going to be a lot more to be said. So I am looking forward to it. I'm hoping it'll be a better ending than what I consider the first one. And I like to see the return characters. Of course, you know, Rocket and Baby Groot are probably my number ones.
Well, the wrestler guy, his performance is just so perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I'm too fast. I would catch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to him. In the preview, him busting up laughing and, you know, about the emotion scene. Yeah, your deepest secret. Yeah, no, that was great. And the forced laughter was pretty awesome. But anyways, so we're moving on to my fanboy for the year, and that's going to be Pokemon Go. So if you don't play Pokemon Go, you don't like outside. I understand. I hate outside. I still play Pokemon Go a lot. I am not as active as the majority of really into it players. I'm just at level 30.
Wait, show it on your watch.
Oh, I've got it running on my watch right now. You can't really
draining battery like a boss.
Yeah, it's about 10% an hour.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
That's awful.
The thing is that with the watch app, it has to be able to tell you're working out, and the app has so many problems. But I'll tell you what is great because it uses the accelerometer or the pedometer inside of the watch, so you actually get to hatch your eggs and get distance for your buddy just walking around your house, which is great. Because otherwise you wouldn't, and your steps would be wasted.
Yeah, and then otherwise you wouldn't have a place to charge it, because as long as you're in your house.
Well, no, that's part of the problem is that you have to be wearing it while you're doing that. So, but I mean, most people aren't going to be playing Pokemon Go for 8 hours at a time.
Wait, can you not like put a charger in your pocket or something with your phone, and then just?
No, the way that the watch charges, it has to be on its charging unit, and if it's on its charging unit, then it can't be reading your I guess it's your pulse is what it's based off of.
Oh,
your workout is based on your pulse, so if it's not on, then you can't charge it.
So that's dumb. I would want to take a battery backup, plug the charger into that.
I do. I have a iWatch battery, and I can take that and start charging it if I need to.
But you can't.
But I mean, theoretically, before you go out and play Pokemon, you want to charge your watch anyways.
So
it's not perfect. But I'll tell you what, since I've got the watch and started hatching, even with all the glitches and everything inside of the app, I still have hatched probably 20 to 30 more eggs a week than normal, just because of how much it hatches. Like, for instance, I got 9 eggs yesterday, and all 9 of them are about to hatch right now.
You know, I wasn't planning on contributing anything to this segment, but I did get an email that said something about them releasing more Pokemon today or yesterday or something, and Ditto.
Yeah, so they are Ditto did get released, which was to try and bring people back. They did a event over the Christmas break for most people. I'd say Christmas break for most people because not everyone was off during that time, not because not everyone had a Christmas break. Yeah. So they did a Christmas event and a New Year's event. They had some starter Pokemon have increased spawn rates currently. And for the Christmas event, it was that if you spun any of the Pokestops, that you got a free one-time use incubator, which is one of the only items in the game that you can't just get through the game. You have to buy with gold. And so that was really cool. They also released a couple of the second gens in egg form so that you could hatch them, which was, nice of them. But I'll be honest, the ones that they released are just straight shit. They suck so bad. They're like the worst fucking Pokemon. All right, so, but they're baby Pokemon, so they're meant to be cute, and I can't really fault them at that. Yeah. So there's that, and they also had 2 different gift boxes that they did for the season, and the first gift box was way better because it had incubators in it. The second one has lures and things to get Pokemon with. not very great. So what I'm really looking forward to in this next year is that they're going to release all of second gen, and that'll give me more reason to get out there and to start catching other things. I'm also hoping that with second gen, they're going to automatically increase the Pokemon box size because
Pokemon box
honestly,
size?
yeah, you can only hold so many Pokemon at a time
Oh, okay.
before you have to transfer them
Did
otherwise.
they call them
Um,
boxes when I was playing? I mean, I remember playing the Game Boy and you could have six, I think, but I don't remember them
I
ever
think
calling
they
it a box size.
well, you can at any given time you can have six to battle. That's your
Oh,
lineup. That's your Pokemon
I
lineup.
got you.
In Pokemon Go, you don't have that. You can have six to line up, but you can choose from any of them that are inside of your storage
Right.
that you have. And in this, I believe it's your Pokebox or Pokemon Box. I don't remember exactly what it's called.
Okay.
And they also limit you on your bag space based on the items that you have. So you can only carry a certain amount of Pokeballs and so on and so forth. And that's kind of BS too. But overall, I love the game. I'm loving it on the watch, and I think that it's probably only going to get better at this point, and we'll see what happens from there. So that's the first segment, our fanboy time,
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Weren't
and
we going over Star Wars 8?
no,
What?
that's
What?
not
What?
Star
What?
Star Wars 8 isn't
What?
part of the
What?
fanboy
What?
section.
Is it somewhere else?
No, I mean the next section
What?
is regarding Star Wars, but
No, I got it.
I mean if you
We got to talk about it.
okay, I mean but if we're going to talk about that, we're going to talk about Rogue One for a couple minutes too.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. So Star Wars
It's
8.
I'm pretty brief here. I don't want to
You
spend a whole
go
lot of time on this one,
take it over. I'll take a break.
but here, so the thing with Star Wars 8 is Carrie Fisher's dead, right? And
Oh
I
yeah.
know they already finished filming and everything, but wherever they took the plot in 8, what I'm hoping for, well, not hoping for, but what has to happen is Leia has to die somehow. But I mean, not technically. They could bring her back, with digital stuff. I kind of hope they don't do that.
Just like they did in Rogue One.
Yeah, I really hope they don't do that.
And by the way, in Rogue One, it looked fucking spot on.
It
It was
didn't look
great.
bad or anything, but you could tell just by the way the characters were moving, like Grand Moff. If he was standing still, perfect, right? But as soon as he had to move or talk, it didn't sound like him, and it didn't look like his movements.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't. That doesn't necessarily have to be like they'll probably do it again, but it doesn't necessarily have to be again. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, but here's where my mind started bending. Okay, so she's dead, so they got to bring her back as either a Force ghost, right, or as a CGI. But if they do what I think they should do, and it's between 8 and 9, they kill her off in like her ship exploded or some crap in an accident, right?
Mhm.
And then whatever role she had in 9, she expresses the ideas that she needed to in her ghost form.
Ghost form.
They get someone that sounds like her, hopefully, or they take old audio or something. And here's the question. This is the big question. Is she going to show up as old Carrie Fisher or young Carrie Fisher? Because we already know that they can make young Carrie Fisher show up, right? They could easily do it in ghost form. And
Yeah.
if they do old Carrie Fisher, it's going to have to be CGI anyways, regardless of if it's Blue Ghost or regular. So, why am I asking
I
this?
mean,
Because,
because they did that in the re-releases.
well, yeah, okay. So, Anakin Skywalker in Episode 6,
Yeah.
he was kind of old, right? He wasn't like you saw him as a bodybuilder, right? But he did not look
Yeah.
like that bodybuilder. He looked like just some old guy like your grandpa. So it's obviously not at point of death, even though Obi-Wan came back and looked just like himself. Now, obviously, some of this could be just, oh, well, that's what we had to work with because it was the 80s and, we didn't really care this much. But you could easily find a way to explain away, well, Obi-Wan was, light side when he died. So he came back as the light side version of himself, which is the last time that, that he was alive.
Yeah,
Right.
and then when
But
Anakin came back,
he
he
came
was
back
the
as
lightest version of himself.
right. So maybe, but as we saw in Episode 3, 3, he went to the dark side, and then we saw him in Episode 6 when they did the remaster. Again, they brought him back as the young Anakin. So do you come back as a Force ghost as your oldest light side self? And if so, does that mean that the Darth Vader that we saw at the end of Episode 6, did he actually die? Did that, like, when Obi-Wan was describing, he murdered your father, he betrayed and murdered your father?
Yeah,
Is he
yeah.
actually a different Force persona at at the point in time, or is it? Am I just reading too much into it? I kind of like to think that you come back as the last time that you were light
I
side.
I think you're reading too much
But
into
but
it
but it's
because I don't
interesting
think that
anyways.
it. No, it is interesting. It is, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with Leia inside of the upcoming
Yeah.
film because it's going to be a big thing, and we got Harrison Ford no longer inside of the film, which he's been wanting forever to not be. He wanted Han to die forever ago,
Well, but
and
Han, so
honestly, the
Han,
way that Han lives, he should have died much sooner.
but Han. Okay, so
But
Han's dead, right? But
yeah,
did he have any force in him? Because
well, I mean
that guy was
they
lucky as hell, and I don't know.
Yeah, they state inside of they state a lot of people are force
Yeah.
sensitive to some effect, and obviously there are scenes that people will they'll go and be like, look, he shot in the direction without even looking, and things like that, and so yeah, I'm gonna say he was force sensitive. I mean, you got in Rogue One the monk that isn't a
I am the
Jedi,
force, and the force is with
who
me.
exactly that which was probably my favorite character of the entire movie,
Absolutely.
and it's it's interesting because right before we went and saw the movie, we had heard a rumor that there was a possibility that the people from Rogue One, the Rogue One themselves, that they might be coming back as the Knights of Ren, because one of the Knights of Ren's name is Rogue and is a female. So they were saying that it could be the main heroine from Rogue One. And
Wait, hold on,
I'm
hold on. You're saying that the original members of the Rogue One ship.
Yeah, all the main the main character Rogue One people.
But they all
So
died.
did they?
Yeah. Did you see Rogue One?
I did. I did see Rogue One, and that's what I'm saying is that I mean, all we do see something, and it is implied that they die. It is
You're
implied,
saying they could have taken off
but
the planet before that?
there is a possibility that they could have survived. Obviously, with the initial blast that they had inside of the movie where they're destroying the ruins, the Jedi Temple or whatnot, they were able to escape that with a fast enough ship. So we do see that the horizon blows up, and we also do see that with the horizon blowing up, they're able to escape on the ship.
Right.
So they're able to go through and get away because of that. And so that ends up working out that it is escapable if you are able to escape. So there is always the possibility that some of them come back. I don't recall how many people are in the Knights of Ren, but there is a possibility that they could come back as some of the Knights of Ren. Even then, they weren't at the center of the blast. The blast happened in the middle of the freaking ocean. So if it happened in the middle of the ocean, then dampening effect, so on and so forth. The Death Star is able to render a core of a planet useless and destroy it over time. I mean, feel like we're talking about Dragon Ball Z at this point. 400 episodes later, Namek blows up. So
Spirit bomb.
there is the possibility that some of the characters do come back. Obviously, they can bring back somebody from over half of their body being destroyed, like Vader.
Yeah.
So there is the possibility. However, the likelihood is
Well,
low.
would he have been able to come back if he hadn't been soaking in Bacta nonstop and have force
Yeah, no, probably
healing and
not.
this and that?
Probably not. So I'm going to say no, more than likely no, but it is a possibility,
Yeah, I think.
which is a good segue right into
Well, no, I'm not done.
our next
uh,
our
I
next
wanted to
topic.
liken the dark side keeping you alive to unicorn blood from Harry Potter.
At what cost?
Exactly. All right, go ahead.
So our next topic is going to be Star Wars politics
Star Wars
versus
What?
Star Wars politics versus the USA politics. Um, so this is interesting because I did not know a tremendous amount about Star Wars politics. I did a little bit of research, and 25,000 years, 25,000 years before they had a
For
problem.
the Old Republic?
Yes, what we would the Republic or the Old
The
Republic, depending on what
Galactic
timeline you're
Republic.
topping.
Yeah.
Yeah, 25,000 years, and man, that like what a run! You gotta imagine that's
Well, maybe
yeah,
maybe the humans in Star Wars are different than the humans of the real world as we know it. And
well, that's the thing is that it's theorized that the first uh, the first Republic was born on the human planet, and
bullshit.
you know they
That never
yeah
happened.
it was born there, and of course there was a lot of different stuff that happened,
But it says a
and
long time ago.
well yeah, but this is historical Star Wars, so it's kind of like it doesn't necessarily state everything, but it's totally there, and so if you look it up, it's got some information on it. It's a little bit more than we need to go into.
Oh yeah, no. If
But,
you look it up, yeah, go ahead
so
and look it up. Don't just listen to the shit. Look it up.
yeah, well, I mean there's more than what we're going to discuss. So for those of you that don't know, the way that
For greater depth.
the Old Republic or the Republic worked is that there was a senator, and that senator controlled either a planet if it was a large enough planet,
Represented
or
a planet.
represented a planet, or if it was a smaller planet, then it was represented by someone that was elected as the senator to foresee a sector, so multiple planets, and depending on the
Wait,
area
hold on.
and the size
Isn't
of the
multiple
planets.
planets a system?
I believe that they cut it down into sectors, or
But I thought a
there's another
sector
word
was
that
a
they
collection
use.
of systems.
Honestly, I'm not 100% on what it was called, but that's the basic gist is that if you imagine someone that has control over, you know, 50, 100, 200 planets, that's the senator. And not in not all cases was the senator actually elected. In some cases it was whoever was the strongest force. So you have people that basically just rule over it, and they're like, "I'm senator now." And then you have other senators that were elected, like Palpatine was, and so on and so
Did you
forth.
know
So
that Palpatine's first name was actually? Do you know what it is?
no,
Sheev.
Jeeve.
No, like Sheev, like Shiva without the A.
Oh, Sheev.
Yeah.
Sheev.
Sheev.
Okay.
Fuck, it's a ridiculously bad name.
I mean, that's Palpatine's a pretty like that. I feel like that's a solid last
Yo,
name.
bro, what's going on? My name's Sheev. It's no wonder he
Eh.
ended up as like some evil dark dictator.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if we just base it off of names, then obviously there are some terrible names out there, but I don't know of too many terrible. Have there been any terribly named presidents?
Yeah. Barack.
Oh, I said named.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
it's
don't know. Barack Hussein Obama. That kind of stands out. Would you say in a long line of list of
It's-
names?
these are
I didn't say anything about
okay.
his policy. I'm just saying
Hussein is a very common name. Okay, Hussein is a common name, but
in the Middle East.
that. All right. So, anyways, that's how the Galactic Senate works, and they're able to elect a chancellor who's only there for a term, and that chancellor's term is decided by the Senate. Usually doesn't exceed a certain number of years, galactic years.
Galactic years. How do they even measure time?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's the whole time frames and travel and things like that is kind of wacky, because
Especially if you've
at
seen
the point that you're
Interstellar.
moving at the speed of
Yeah.
at the time that you're moving at warp, you're like, oh hey, we got the galactic chancellor on the ship, and then 400 years later, like all of a sudden you're all the way across the entire galaxy, and like what do you do
It's particularly
then?
interesting in the case of Star Wars because they don't ever claim to go too much faster past light speed. So
Well, yeah, I
Han
mean
Solo,
exactly. That's
the higher end of intergalactic travel. He went 0.5 past light speed, so 1.5 times the speed of light. So whereas in Star Trek, you're talking about going warp speed to a factor of 9, which is infinitely faster.
yeah, I don't know how they got time working in that, but at the same time, it
At the same time.
at the same time, I think that no one really cares. It's the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, well,
You
yeah,
know,
I
like
agree.
they want to just watch the movie and get it over with.
But in,
So
in Star
I can
Wars'
understand
defense,
that.
it is much more realistic to imagine 1.5 times the speed of light than the factor of 9 times the speed of light.
Yeah,
Or I
yeah.
said that
So
backwards.
so that being said, you got the Chancellor. The Chancellor kind of has kind of like Commander in Chief rights. He could start a war and send the Jedi's wherever,
Yeah.
and
But that's just the guy
that's
from
the
Corellia, or from Coruscant, right? Or are you saying the entire Senate as a
no.
whole?
Yeah, it's the entire Senate
Oh,
as a
okay.
whole. The Chancellor is the only one that can kind of send out. He's the one that kind of dictates what course of action. Like, of course, they take votes and they do all that kind of stuff. But what ends up happening is that the Jedi are the Force for these
Yeah.
people,
Wait,
and
they're like
they're
the
the
police, you're
ones.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah, they're the enforcers, the peacekeepers. They're sent on
they're
peacekeeping
they're the
missions,
enforcers,
and what
peacekeepers,
ended up happening
like the National
pre
Guard,
Clone War.
peacekeepers.
Yeah, kind of, but not quite. So because there's much fewer of them than the National
Yeah.
Guard. But I mean, that's the whole thing. Is one Jedi is worth 100,000 men. So
Nope.
or alien,
Bulky
depending.
religions and ancient weapons is no match for a good blaster at your side.
All right, Han. But so Joe seems to think that we need blasters. I kind of would rather have a lightsaber to reflect that
Not if
blaster
you're
back
asleep.
at him.
Bam.
So, anyways, that's kind of how it works. Is they determine where a peacekeeping mission is needed based off of what all the people inside of the Senate come in and say, and that's where we go with like Clone Wars. At that point, then it got taken over by by Palpatine, and at that point he started changing things. So there used to be like a veil in front of the senators so that they could have like secret discussions, and he put in like hover drones that could record everything, so people were scared to actually voice what they meant,
Like in
which
any state,
was
like the NSA.
well like the current
Yeah.
government actually. So I feel like we've been under the Palpatine rule for a while now, and the United States could, maybe use a little bit more privacy, but I understand the need to kind of be in everyone's cookie jar, if you know what I mean, like to be in everyone's business and go from there. It just, at some point, with the way that technology is going, like we need to 25,000 years. That's all I'm saying.
Here's
For 25,000 years before that, they were okay. They didn't need to worry about anything.
so I want
But now all of a sudden,
to. Hello.
yeah, I
Okay.
got you.
So I want to say a little blurb about the privacy thing. I think people put enough stuff on social media that we do not need to invade people's privacy to learn stuff. I think we can learn just as much as we want by what they willingly give to the world, without any kind of expectation of privacy.
And
I think you can have
I think
security and
that's
privacy. I don't think that
pretty.
they're mutually exclusive ideals.
Yeah. Well, the whole problem with that is that you have people that don't understand privacy. Privacy with Facebook, to say the least. People don't understand that privacy policy. They don't understand it at all. I mean, look at a couple years ago when they updated the privacy policy, and people were like, "Oh, what? Facebook gets control over anything that I post there as their own? If I post a photo, that's owned by
Well, but
Facebook. If I
part of the problem with the reason that ignorance persists is that the privacy policies are not written in a way that normal people can understand them. I don't read them. I just assume the worst. You know.
You're right. People, it's end user license agreements.
Right.
People just click yes and they keep
Yeah.
going. So, uh, that being said, the whole privacy inside of Star Wars that was removed, and after the privacy was removed, people felt threatened, and that I mean that's kind of where we're at
Yeah, I
now.
didn't know that part
Is
about the Star Wars government. When did that happen?
when Palpatine came into power,
Okay.
that right around the Clone Wars. So when the Clone Wars started
But I thought he
happening,
killed the senators,
obviously
though.
it was when he came into power. It was supposed to have happened then. If you remember, inside of I think it was the Clone War movie, you saw all the little hovercrafts with the senators or whatnot on them. The yeah, I guess just hovercrafts. So they had the senators and and whatnot on them, and Jar Jar comes in and he's like, I vote that we select this person.
Yeah, I don't want to think
and
about that thing.
he just screws everyone.
When he says
so
Senate, like at the beginning of episode 4, when they say the Emperor has dissolved the Senate, what does that mean?
So at that point, it was the decision making of the Senate.
Okay, so he just got rid of them. He didn't kill them all.
Yeah,
Okay.
he got rid of the need to go through and have a vote for things, which is kind of where we are right now also in government, but we've been like that for a long time. You know, the Master in Chief can make policies and whatnot as long as it passes to a certain extent. You know, I mean, obviously a very controversial one, which we're not going to get a lot into, is Obamacare. That a lot of people fucking hate it, and for a lot of people, it's the only way that they have insurance. So the Senate is kind of wacky like that, and
I'll refrain
inside
from
of
getting into that topic.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Time.
So that being said, the current government that we have is actually kind of similar, except for the fact that the Senate that was existing prior had so many people in it. So many people. It was just a ridiculous amount of planets that were involved in the Senate at that point.
So here's my little spiel about... Well, sorry, were you done?
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of saying these are the main differences, that it's on a much greater scale. If you were to take it into consideration that the Senate was closer to like what we have as the UN, then that's more of a equal comparison.
So, God, you got to bring up the UN. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, even though I kind of came up with that segment, I kind of went a different direction with it, in which I was thinking that the progression of government style in the Star Wars universe very closely mimicked. Well, it would have mimicked anyways, but it was closer to what I think happened to the Roman Empire, or rather the Roman Republic. So you've got the Old Republic, or the Galactic Republic, and the Old Republic turns into the Empire and the Rebellion. So the Old Republic, I think, turns into the Rebellion because they call it the New Republic, and they end up winning, of course.
Well, the New Republic is what becomes of the Rebellion being successful.
Right. So if I say Galactic Republic, I'm talking about the Empire side. If I say the Old Republic side, I'm talking about the Rebellion side. As we know them, the good guys, but really just the guys that won, if you think about it. That, why wouldn't you romanticize your own history if, regardless of if it's true or not, you would totally do it. So you have the Galactic Republic turning into the Empire, and then the Empire, having lost its main grip on the universe, it turns into the First Order somehow. And I feel like we don't have enough details on what the First Order really is, but it does seem to be the military arm.
It's like Empire. The remnants. Yeah, it's the remnants of the Empire. Yeah. And when we get into that, then it kind of this is where it's weird, is that you can't really compare, for instance, like Democrats and Republicans in this case, because it's not quite the same. We're talking about we're talking about like one great evil versus a good. And it is definitely debatable that there is a great evil coming into power in America. It's not senators? Actually no, not senators. It's it would be very interesting. The thing that's interesting about it is that the people in power in Star Wars, they don't start the war. Like they kind of start the war, but it's the people that don't want the people in power that start the war. In this case, it's kind of the reverse in America right now.
Where the person that built the Death Star, or the people that blew it up? I mean, you could call either one of them a walking
That's
war.
where it's interesting, though, because like the Death Star is based off of an ancient Jedi weapon, and since we know from being the people that watch Star Wars,
I don't buy that it's an ancient Jedi weapon. I know that they said that.
No, not an ancient Jedi weapon. It's from the ancient Jedi War. Not necessarily the Death Star itself, but it is based off of the design of a weapon that happened in the ancient war between the Jedi and the Sith. So now most people don't know that.
That's such bull,
most people don't know that.
That's
however,
invented,
here's the thing: is that the Death Star was not made by any senator. Like Palpatine and them designed it as the Empire, and the empire only came into being because they took over. And then after that happened, the republic forces, they went and they decided, hey, we're going to fight you. So it's different. It was too late in that case, whereas in the current case, a lot of people think that our next president is going to cause a war. And because he's the president, just because he's the president, that's it. Because he's the president, he will start the war. And I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was said about Obama before he became president, and how things were going to be, oh, he's going to change us into a terrible nation.
Presidency?
Well, I mean,
Just
we're talking
saying.
different type of war. Like the difference of like Cold War or anything like that. I mean, we're talking active duty war where
Active
people can
duty
get
military
drafted.
members went to war.
No, I mean people can be drafted is what I'm
Well,
saying. They might
nobody's been
reenact the
drafted
draft.
since World War II. Or maybe they
Exactly.
was.
Which there's
Wait, hold on. Was
a
anybody
lot of
drafted during the
speculation.
Korean War? I don't think they were.
I don't know.
I gotta check that.
But I'm just saying that there's a lot of rumors going around, and of course people are making it sound worse than it is, and people are saying that he might start World War III. Which I mean, if you look at his Twitter account, he already is not at. Like he says some stupid shit. He really does. But they should take his phone away. But at the same time, I'm not saying it's false. The stuff that he says may be true. He is cocky, and he is a New Yorker, and I can't fault him for that.
Yes, there was a draft in the Korean War.
Okay, good to know. But there is the possibility that it can go kind of sideways. So I guess I'm saying that you can't really compare the two politics, but there are some similarities. The way that they have the Senate that represents the people inside of a sector, or
So it's
in our
wonderful
case, a state.
that I picked Rome instead of the U.S. then. So
Yeah.
So anyway, you've got the Roman Republic, which didn't last nearly as long as the
Star Wars
25,000 years
Republic,
of the fictitious
25,000 years.
of the fictitious old Republic. But what was interesting was that in both cases, they both turn into a monarchy. So the Galactic Republic started out as a republic, right? Which is so far in human history the best form of government the longest lasting form of government.
Not necessarily the best, but yes.
A representative government so far is the best to its people, and I'll use that metric any day. But then they turn into empires somehow. But I've never seen an empire turn into a republic, that's what makes the fictitious Star Wars government so fascinating to me. Is that if ever the United States turned into a dictatorship, I don't think it would ever go back to a republic, because of the Roman Republic turned into empire, which went and it just spread out into a million different countries. They don't actually they didn't keep their heel on the people in their state, I guess they could call it, hard enough, or too hard maybe, and it brings to mind Leia's quote of the more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers. Which is exactly, I think, what happened with the Roman Empire, and exactly what I think will happen if the United States ever turns into an empire. But then you have the Old Republic turns into the rebellion. The rebellion takes back control over the empire and turns it into the New Republic or the Alliance.
I mean, hey, with this new president, you never know.
You never know. But I just think it's a little far-fetched to compare him directly to Hitler. I think that's a bit much.
No one said Hitler. I mean, well, I didn't, at least. But he is a character.
I think the worst case you're looking at is more of the same, which, if you were to elect Hillary, that is exactly what you would have gotten.
I mean, I'll tell you what. If people start dying by the thousands, 100,000s, I mean, I'm sure when it happens by the 10,000s, he'll be impeached. So it won't matter.
Is he gonna order drone strikes against U.S. citizens? Oh wait,
I mean, who knows? Who knows what they'll be able to pass? I mean, all the power is there for him. He has everyone that he could have backing him. And now, I'm not saying,
Who?
The House and the Senate.
Oh, you mean like
he has all of the power that he needs to do what he wants, as long as those people want that to happen.
Same as Obama
okay?
in the first 2 years of his presidency.
Okay, yeah, that's true, and people still died during that too. But I'm just saying that you never know. We could, Emperor
The
Trump.
world,
We'll see.
the world will continue to be a better place in spite of, not because of, our president, and that has always been
That
true.
is that is the
Yeah,
truth. Yeah.
I don't think
All
that
right.
this guy
So
is going to make everything substantially worse or substantially better. He is a
and
politician
then
now.
that kind of I think that we kind of covered that. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll move on to our last
Ah,
segment. We'll keep it short
yes.
here because we don't have a whole lot left. So we'll keep it in the next couple of minutes here. But 2017
Ooh.
nightmares, things that we do not want to happen in
Well,
2017.
that's a perfect segue because why not keep it on Star Wars the entire time? And let's be paranoid about Mark Hamill dying.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he just got a new television show. That would be really bad on a lot
Whoa,
of
he got a new
levels.
television show? Are you screwing
Yeah,
with me right
yeah,
now?
he's no, there's
Wait,
so
you're not talking
he
about a
goes
new
around
Batman
to
animated series, are you?
no, which would be awesome because I actually do really like him as the
Oh, he's the
Joker.
best.
But a lot of people don't really, and that's all a lot of people can hear. But it's about collectors. He goes around the world. I believe the world might just be the U.S. and he finds people that have really interesting
Huh.
collections of things.
Like a bunch of
And
Pokemon
they're
cards?
no. It's more like comic and superhero
What is it, a
collectibles and
Netflix show
things
or
like
something?
that. No, I think it got picked up by a
Oh,
station. I'm
wow.
not sure who or what, but I very rarely watch television, but I saw the advertisement. I think it was through Facebook, who, by the way, does a bang up job on advertising to me. And so it looked pretty interesting. That would really suck for them if they lost their host. But at the same time, it'd be a loss for everyone. He's a great guy, great character, and if it were ever possible, it'd be awesome to have him on a show. But I doubt it'll happen. Uh,
On
that being
this
said,
show?
on this
Yeah,
show,
okay.
Brew the Truth.
Before he
We'll,
dies.
we'll get a couple of
Goggles.
a Star Wars drinks and just start going at it. Um, but it's if we lost Mark Hamill, it'd be pretty
It would be the
bad.
worst, right?
If we went again off of politics, if we went to World War III, it'd be terrible. If we lose any more influential people, I mean it's kind of in between. People die
Yeah,
every day.
if we
I
lost a
get that.
bunch of celebrities, there would be even less people to refuse to play at Trump's inauguration.
Yeah, that was pretty funny to me, but I mean, I'm not too worried about too many things in this coming year. I'm actually kind of looking forward to hopefully the insurance rates stabilizing, which who knows if they will or won't, based on if whatever happens with Obamacare. I'm looking forward to some of the movies that are coming out. Obviously, I will go see Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy. Um, there's a couple of video games I'm looking forward to that are coming out. Bloodstained
Oh, you know what?
is
New season of Game of Thrones.
oh, I mean, I from what I understand, it's very different from the book, but I do
It
enjoy the
is
series.
drastic. It becomes more different the more time goes on. I think it's more like a chain reaction than anything.
Well, it kind of me being a anime fan, I understand that because you get to the point inside of an anime where the person that wrote the manga, his storyline is caught up to with the anime, and then they're like, oh well, let's just willy nilly
You
and go
mean
from
like
there.
Naruto?
Well, Naruto is different.
Oh
Naruto
no,
had
let's not get into it. Come
ton
on.
of filler, a ton of filler. But actually, I'm talking actually. The best example is Full Metal Alchemist,
Oh, I
the original Full
love
Metal
that
Alchemist
Brotherhood
series.
show.
So yeah, the original Full Metal Alchemist, they got to a point where they caught up to the series, and then they just went off and they're
Yeah,
like,
they floundered.
"Hey, Hitler," and it was
Did
like,
you
"All
say
right, well,
yay
that's a great way to
Hitler?
end anything." Yeah, no, seriously, that's what happened. Okay, but Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was true to the
Yeah.
manga, which just was
Yeah, everyone told
amazing.
me not to watch the original and just to watch Brotherhood, and that's what I did. And it was amazing.
That is the correct
Yeah.
choice. That is.
It was just I
So
cried 3 times during that anime.
it's if I'm starting anyone on anime, anyone that is like my top pick to
Well, what
recommend.
about
I'm like,
Attack on
hey, you should watch
Titans?
this first. Attack on Titans is a
I
good
guess it is a
anime.
little
It really
brutal
is.
for the first one.
But it is not. It is not on the level of like if you're entering into anime. If it's like the first thing that you're gonna see, Full Metal Alchemist just gets you so it's such a good
Oh,
story, and it kind of takes you in, and you get so excited for the
but it's
characters.
it's
And
gotta be Neon Genesis Evangelion for me.
oh,
For the
shut the
for the first
fuck
anime, it's the
up!
best. It's just the best anime. It's depressing. It's
No,
got all the teen angst you need.
no,
It's perfect.
just
And
just
there's no
no.
multiple seasons. It's just one shot, and then they just re-release it nonstop. They don't redo. They don't continue the story. They just redo it
All right, well,
because it's so good.
maybe we talk on shitty animes
Yeah,
next
another time.
time.
That's right.
And
Okay, so
that being
2017
said, I
Nightmares.
think yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty much all I'm really
Oh,
scared of. Anything you
yeah.
got?
Well, yeah. So we got Maggie Smith. I mean, she's been around for a fucking long, long time. And
Oh, the Queen might die actually too. That'd be kind of
who?
scary. The
Oh,
Queen
I
of
don't care
England.
about that. Maggie Smith is better than the
Most people
Queen, in
don't.
my opinion. But like, I mean, do you remember her in Hook? Maggie
No.
Smith.
What character did she play?
She was
I
she was the main female lead, the Wendy Darling.
Wendy.
Hello.
Yeah. What
She was
about her?
Wendy Darling in Hook, and
Okay.
then she was in Downton Abbey. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. Well, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't like it.
I don't. Yeah, it's
It's
not
British
my.
stuff, but I mean, you might be surprised. It's
I
still
mean, I
good.
like
It's
British
still good.
stuff, but Downton Abbey is not really my
It's still
style.
really good though. Like even if it's not your style, it's still a very well done in its style. So you still might be able to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like really good art. You walk by and you're like, well, I don't watch normal art, but this art is the shit. So it's good. It's like I don't eat beets, but this beet is the best beet ever. And so I
Yeah.
ate it, and it was really good, and it ruined me for beets for the rest of my life. That kind of thing. Anyway, and then obviously from Harry Potter, she's big on Harry Potter. So another one I had was George Clooney, because he's been around, and we just lost Alan Rickman, similar age, and I was like,
Yeah.
just because he looks better doesn't mean he can't die this year.
Yeah. No one's immune to death.
Was it?
No one is immune
Yeah,
to
exactly.
death.
And then my last one. This is probably the most impactful one to most people. What if George R. R. Martin dies before he finishes his last book,
They will pay someone else who will hopefully put less
or
dick.
his last books? Yes, and I agree with that statement because there was a fantasy writer I used to follow pretty heavily, Robert Jordan, and he has a really long. I want to say 13 books on the Wheel of Time series, and he died actually in his little flap on the back of his book. Every book like since the 80s, he had this little blurb, and it said Robert Jordan will continue writing until they nail his coffin shut. And that is what happened. He died on his 10th book, I think, and then he had Brian Sanderson write the remaining book. It was intended to be one book, but he actually had to spread it out to 3 different books. And if you saw them, they're like well into the 700 plus pages each one. So he couldn't have just crammed it all into one. Ridiculous. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm told the Brian Sanderson books are actually a little better than the
Oh.
originals. So hopefully George R. R. Martin has a nice little protege.
Well, I mean, that being the case, it more than likely is due to the characters already being developed. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you come into anything with characters already developed, chances are as long as you write true to the character, it's only going to get better.
It's like if
but not everyone can do that.
it's like
so.
if George Lucas was to die, everyone would be like, "Oh, thank God he can't make Star Wars 7, 8, and 9." But we don't feel that way about.
Yeah, so someone else would make them so much better. But yeah, who knows? I mean, it's a possibility, and I mean that's pretty much. I think that's pretty much it,
we actually
right?
went a little longer than we were planning on.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be about an hour here. We're coming up on. So that being said, obviously with what you've seen so far, you can understand that we do enjoy our brews. We do want to speak the truth, and we're obviously very much into sci-fi nerdy things, and we got some good heads on our shoulders.
Remains to be seen.
Well, from you, but we do like the finer things in life, if you will. And we will continue to be interesting as much as we can. Thank you for watching our first show, Brew the Truth, working title. And join us next
The
time.
next time on the Finer Things Club, in which we will be drinking wine and eating cheese and crackers.
That's not going to be the name of the next episode. We will not be the Finer Things
Finer
Club.
Things Club, 2017.
Nightmare of 2017. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave any comments that you have in the comments.
Bye.